Hello and welcome to the Landscaper Growth Show. My name is Mark Lamberth. I'm your host. Today I'm speaking with Daniel Dygalski at Haven Landscape Design in Charlotte, North Carolina. Daniel, thanks so much for being with us today.
Hey, thank you, Mark. Pleasure being on and looking forward to talking with you.
Yes, we've done a lot of research. Looks like a great company you guys have. I'd love to start just by hearing what services you provide for your customers.
Well, we provide a landscape construction service and limited design service. We focus on grading, hardscaping, and general softscaping needs of our clients.
Okay, awesome. And taking notes over here. And any type of like maintenance, lawn mowing, this type of thing?
Initially, we started out with maintenance, but about 4 years ago, I didn't want to do maintenance anymore. It's not fun. It's not challenging. It is challenging in its own way, but yeah, no maintenance.
Okay. And so you guys launched this in 2020, is that right?
Yeah, about 2019. Officially, I think the official start date is September 20th, 2019, but 2020 is a pretty round number to work with.
Okay. And we talked about this a little bit before the show, but you guys service the greater Charlotte area, Charlotte, North Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Great. So when you get going, Daniel, I mean, we talk with a lot of companies who are doing kind of lawn care and the sort of lawn maintenance side of things, and then also companies doing sort of, landscaping, landscape design, hardscaping. A lot of companies kind of get into it by starting with the kind of maintenance side of it, the lawn care side of it, and then they move over into the kind of project side. We've talked with some companies that like, we don't do any more mowing at this point, maybe still even their name like lawn care, but now they're like completely out of that. Is that often what happens, kind of the journey? I mean, I've heard folks say that it's actually a little easier sometimes to get those lawn care clients and it's almost a foot in the door, but then moving into project work. What's that journey like?
Well, our journey was a little bit different. I was referenced by some good people, my brother, that to jump on the Google platform before it was too late. And we started in maintenance just to get a starting point. And the focus was to transition to a full project-oriented company with construction. And we have done that independent of any maintenance work. We would do maintenance work. We would get an occasional project here and there, but it's nothing like a steady stream of leads that would come off a company that's marketed for construction.
Gotcha. Okay. And I mean, why? Just curious about this piece of it. And I mean, I'm learning the business here myself. I mean, I had a background in the trades, more construction than, landscaping. What is it about the sort of maintenance side of it or the lawn care side that's, I don't know, that some companies kind of grow out of or, just end up not liking? What is more desirable ultimately for you about the kind of project work?
Well, not to downplay maintenance. There's really high quality maintenance providers out there. And
of course,
I've worked extensively in maintenance from a background in golf course management all the way up into commercial landscaping at some premier commercial landscaping companies. And it's a very valuable service that is needed. But the main primary reason I didn't want to be involved in that, and forgive me if I'm enveloping your question a little further, is because the threshold of entry is very low. And I wanted to get into a business where the requirements to get in are, they're a lot more. You got to have a lot more infrastructure, a lot more knowledge. Your team has to be a lot more talented. It's a lot harder to get into the construction side of things and build a good, solid reputation. And that is the direction I'm going with my business, is building a reputation-oriented company. And I'm not saying maintenance is bad. It's a necessity, but there's a lot of issues in there. And there's a lot of issues in the whole maintenance equation. And I just didn't want to be a part of that.
Sure. Okay, great. So regarding kind of hardscaping side of things, I mean, will you guys do kind of a build out like deck, masonry, backyard fireplace? Are you guys kind of doing this level of work, or what's all involved in the kind of outdoor living and kind of hardscaping you guys do?
Fair question. And I would say we're still enveloping that. I don't have a extensive background in construction. I have learned rapidly along the way. And I will say that when there's specialized skill sets, that we defer to those specialized companies that do that. So we built a really beautiful wall last year. It was a CMU block wall with a brick veneer that matched the house. And we did most of that internally, but we did work with a mason for the masonry side of things, the finishing touches, and it turned out spectacular. And I'll share some pictures with you, when we get done with this. But and decking's the same way. We're landscapers. We do some things really well, but when it comes to doing carpentry work, that's of like high quality. I've seen really bad built structures out there. Part of that. And I just usually, we'll build some concrete forms for, like a formed concrete wall, but that's carpentry in a way, but it's not a high quality finish. It's just, like all those little precise cuts and things. But yeah, the short answer is we do a lot of things in house, but I will defer on things that I think another contractor could do in a better quality do a better job at.
Gotcha. Interesting. Love it. How many folks do you have on your team?
Right now we have 5, including myself.
Awesome.
We are scaling though, but my wife was working full time, and that would have made it 6. And she has transitioned out of that role as a designer and a full time mom, which I'm very proud of. And
fantastic.
we are looking to hire for 2 spots right now. We've actually been doing some interviews, just trying to find that right candidate or right candidate.
Gotcha.
Excuse me.
Gotcha. Okay. You had mentioned a few minutes ago, like working on your reputation. I mean, we did some research here. You guys have got just a ton of amazing reviews. I mean, almost 250 5-star reviews. It's incredible, especially for business been around, here in business for 5 or 6 years. Love to see that. And it just says so many great things about the company and, the work you do, but also just about the kind of organization. We're always trying to help, landscapers, lawn care company we work with, talk to get more reviews, right? Because it helps other people be able to see the quality of the work and also helps with, local rankings and stuff. Any tips on how to get, great honest reviews? I mean, do you guys have something that goes out after jobs are finished, like an automation that says, please give us honest review if you will? How do you guys go about creating so much goodwill in the form of like 5-star reviews?
Really good question, Mark. I appreciate that. And I'll preface it with saying that I've always, unfortunately, been a people pleaser. And when I first, I was, a teenager, I was doing landscaping in the neighborhood and cutting grass. And there was an HOA, and I got involved with the HOA, and I did some ball field work, cutting the place. And eventually they had to let me go for insurance reasons, but they gave me a letter of recommendation. It's a very nice thing to do. And it's always kind of stuck with me. And through my time doing commercial maintenance, managing properties and, being a foreman in the past, kind words always really meant a lot to me from customers. And I've kind of oriented my personality and our business to reflect that. And I'll say, as far as getting a quantity of reviews, it's a little tricky. First and foremost is I don't use any automated process. Some jobs don't go as well as others, and I don't ask them for reviews because I know that the outcome, we delivered the scope. But I'll give you an example. We did a landscape project recently, and the customer was very unhappy. The expectations were very different from what we delivered. I'm not going to say it was their fault or mine. It was just, there was poor initiation of expectations of the outcome of the project. And
Sure.
The project, we did our scope of work well. I think we've had a really good follow-up and follow-through to rectify some of these things, but I'm not going to send an automated message asking for a 5-star review.
Right.
We trigger somebody to put a lower one. And I think granted, those automated systems, I'm aware of how they work, and that, if they don't want to leave a 5.0, that they will, kick back over for customer service side of things. But I prefer to be very in touch with things and control the rhythm and the vibe and understand what's going on. And that personal connection really matters. And it may be that we get to the finish line of this project, which is, we're not there yet. It's, because there is a disconnect in the expectations. The finish line's further out. We have a longer way. We have to have good follow-up and follow through. I may eventually ask them to leave us review of their experience, and I may not, but the quantity and the quality of them it's very personalized, and there's a lot of that personal emphasis. Like I followed up yesterday evening with a customer we did a wonderful project with, and I just said, hey, you need to include pictures in your review. You need to talk about what we did. These things really matter. And if we don't get them in a routine manner, our business is going to suffer. And I know you had a really good experience with us. And yeah, he's going to do it, but just setting expectations for what we're looking for. And it sounds like arrogant, but a lot of people don't know what to do when it comes to leave a review. And if you give them, the more information you give somebody, and sometimes we send them project pictures that we took along the way that they can include, and it gives it a very personalized aspect of it, where it's, their project, pictures from it, and our branding is in it, and it gives the validity of it as well. And then somebody was like, hey, we need to reference some work. I can send them, great customers, and they have reviews on a Google page that can correspond with it. It's all interconnected and very important. And I think the quantity just comes from that personal aspect of just being in touch, in tune, and aware of what you're doing and where you're at in terms of expectation.
That is amazing, man. I'm taking a look at your site here over at Dot Design. It's just a lot of beautiful photos of your work. The team's here with their logo shirts on, and just looks awesome, man. You guys have got good rankings. I can tell you guys are just running amazing business. I mean, it's always exciting I get to talk to folks that sometimes very humble, but then it's realized, man, they're running an amazing business over here. What do the next few years look like for you, man? Are you guys growing a business, or, with 5 or 6 people on the team, you guys at a nice level place where you're at?
So kind of a little backdrop in the past, where when I worked at another company, I saw an enhancement crew do $1.3 million of gross revenue in 1 year. And we hit $1 million last year for the first time, which I'm pretty proud of. But that's after you get there, like, wow, where'd all that money go? Like, it's gone. It's not like something that sticks around.
Yeah, right.
But I don't.
People think that's so much money, but then you get there, you're like, it's all right.
It's like, nope, it's gone.
And all my problems didn't somehow go away.
No, tolerated larger problems. That being said, in summary, is I've seen some really high performing teams, and a kind of benchmark is to have one team put up between 800 and 1.2. We've been there, but the issue has become that I believe that in life, kind of a little bit of personal information enveloping your question is, you can get really comfortable where you're at, and you got to shake things up. And I got a little comfortable for a while. We kind of have been hanging out between 700 and 800,000 for a couple of years of work. And the reason was there's a severe bottleneck of infrastructure investment to scale. We have the work coming in. Obviously, you see the reviews, you see the Google profile on our website, and the reputation we're developing. So we have the work coming in. We haven't been able to produce it. I want to say we oversold between $400,000 and $500,000 last year, and we did not produce it. And it was lost work. And some of it's come back around this spring into summer, which I'm very thankful for. But the reality is we oversold and weren't able to produce it. So I set things in motion to do some innovation and lower the infrastructure investment costs. So in terms of your question of what the next 1 to 3 years looks like, we're going to get our GC license. We're going to focus on innovating in unique ways, and I'm happy to develop that more with you. That will lower the infrastructure investment costs to scale. And that is what our 1 to 3 year vision in our 5-year plan looks like.
Wow. So guys, if you're listening to this, worth going back through this and listening to this episode. There's a lot of little gems in here, and they're, just amazing advice, amazing sort of story of Daniel's business here, Haven, here over the last few years. I mean, I love it, Daniel. I'd love to have you back on the podcast here a little bit later on this year and hear how things are going. We'd love to follow up with folks who are just doing amazing stuff. If folks are in the Charlotte area, larger kind of city, and looking for a great landscaping, hardscaping company to work with, what are the best ways to get in touch with you guys?
Just go through our Google page and the website engagement. We're pretty responsive there, and that would be a good way to get in touch with us.
Fantastic. So be Haven Landscape Design in Charlotte. Great. Well, Daniel, thanks so much for being with us today and sharing the experience of your company.
Absolutely, Mark. Thank you so much for having me on.